Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to this webinar on reinventing food supply chains. Today, we are going to talk about alternative ways of getting food to the consumers. And we have two great guests in the studio. But before we go to them, I would like to introduce a little bit the topic. So, as you probably know from your experience, we all buy our fruits and vegetables in the supermarkets, but that comes with the price. Many times we don't get specific varieties that are not classical ones. We also don't find a lot of organic fruits and vegetables in the supermarket, but maybe for most, we also pay most of the price to the marketeers and not to the farmers who produce the food. So fortunately, there are people here around the world who are thinking about the alternative ways of doing that. And today in the studio, we have two people from the Netherlands who are actually very busy with reinventing the current system. So before I introduce our two guests, actually, I would like to ask you, who are here in the room today watching to this webinar, where do you get your fruit and vegetables from? So we start a poll, and there are a couple of options. Do you get them from supermarkets? Do you go to the local market to buy from local vendors? Maybe you grow it yourself, or maybe you don't need the vegetables. So let me know, where are you getting your fruits and vegetables from? So I don't know if you can see the results, but now I see that 75% of people watching now are going to the supermarket, and we have a small percentage going to local markets. And we also have a couple of people growing food themselves, or family who does it. So I will wait a little bit longer. And there is nobody who doesn't eat vegetables, so that's really great. Good for you. Okay, so actually I will end the poll now, and what we see is 61% are buying vegetables and fruits in the supermarket. I also do. And there is a small percentage, 27% who go to the local market and 11% who grow food themselves. So I'm really curious if that will change after listening to the story of our first guest in the studio. She is a construction builder turned a pixel farmer. She has years of successful career in construction industry, and she has lived in a big city. And 5 years ago, she decided to switch it to a farm in the Dutch countryside, where she started to grow food in an alternative way. And 5 years later, she already has a small group, or like actually a big group of loyal customers, and she's working with knowledge institutes in the Netherlands to share her know-how. Simone Koekkoek is our first guest in the studio, and I would like to warmly welcome her. Simone? Yes.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. How are you?
I'm very good. It's beautiful weather here in the Netherlands, so the spring is coming.
Great. Well, super nice to have you in the studio. Simone has a nice story to share with us. Listen carefully. If you have any questions, she will be happy to answer them after her presentation. So you can already put your questions in the chat, and I will get back to you after Simone's presentation. The floor is yours, Simone.
Yeah, thank you. Well, and I hope my story can inspire you, and especially the students and participants of the Urban Greenhouse Challenge today. Welcome. My story begins about 6-7 years ago, when I was contemplating my life with my husband and our closest friends. The societal challenges we have at the moment in terms of climate change and healthy lifestyle worried us a lot. So we had a lot of discussions about that. We concluded that we urgently needed to actively take part in solving that problem for us and for our children and posterity. So we start dreaming of an environment where we can live together in a self-sufficient and sustainable way. So here you can see my dream of the dream we made together. We want to make a place where we can live, where we can eat, where we can work and develop ourselves and each other together in a small community. We created a place on campus Almkerk, and we bought a vacant and expired farm in 2016, and we reopened it as an innovation center for agriculture and sustainability. On these 10 hectares we had, so it's a small farm for usual farmers, but it was enough for us for our community to grow food. And making a sustainable short food chain for ourselves was a big challenge because we had no agricultural knowledge at all. We were all technicians. We are all technicians, so we are not farmers. So, and in addition to that, the scientifically available knowledge is mainly focused on the current monoculture-based system. So we also have problems on getting the knowledge to us. Well, we tackled this problem in the development of pixel farming, and pixel farming is a very biodiverse cultivation method without the use of pesticides or artificial fertilizers. We only grow on demand what our community needs. This cultivation method is based on working with nature and with the latest modern techniques. Well, this development in pixel farming, you already see it here on the screen, has a lot of similarities with the game. A game we already saw like 10 years ago, I guess. I don't know when it started, but many people still play it. It's the game Hay Day. And what we are doing now at the campus is actually real life Hay Day, the game. Here you see the game when you start. You start by inheriting a farm of your uncle. Well, we had to buy one. And you can scale this farm up. And this is what we did. I will show you some pictures now of how our place looked in 2016 and how it looks now. So we just started on making a workplace for us and all our workers to design their innovations and work on it on the land too. So this is just similar to Hay Day. And also in the first sector, you say you start small. You already see here in this game the pixels. It's just the same. We use them. We make our plot in small pixels. And you start small with just a few crops because like we are not, we don't have a lot of experience as a farmer. So we started off with like 8 crops in the beginning. And this was our level 1. So we communicated with our customers with a platform, a website, and they could take their plot and design it by themselves with the 8 kind of crops we offered. And then we started to communicate with them all the pictures we made of their plot each season and how you grow your veggies. So here you can see them grown. This is what our customers could see during the season. And we also shared other knowledge, like which animals did we see, which problems did we have, and how did we react to it, and even ask them, what would you do? Or sometimes we find a nest for birds, and we have this big picture on the platform. So the first one who finds the nest wins a prize. So we keep them attached to their plot. So the first thing you saw in Heyday, the level 1, is you start small. You start in a small step. You start with a few pixels and a few crops. But then you get into a phase that you can expand your idea, which we also did. You go to the next levels. And in the next levels of Heyday, you can expand your farm with a food production machine, like a bakery or a pasta maker or whatever. And you can also use more crops, like you get more pixels and you get more variety. And this is also what we did. In the next season, we also went up to the next level, and our customers could choose more kind of crops, but also they could just put whole meals inside it. Here you see a few meals you can just plant directly. You can plant a Vega burger, or plant, a meal is a Dutch meal, stamppot, and we will grow it for you. And also we share the pictures of that. So here you can see our farm from, I think it was last year, yes. And you can also see this was, when we started, it was all grass and nothing more. And now you can see the strip cropping we do here. We do the strip cropping. Here are the pixel fields. You see the circles inside where we make like a garden-like effect. So if you come to visit us, you can walk through a garden, a food garden. So this is our expansion for where we are now. And we also expanded in the machines. We said the bakery. So here you see our own wheat. We grew it, and the local windmill just made it into flour. And the local bakery is baking it for us and our customers. And well, we are trying to set up our own oven, so we can. I have now a food innovator in the house to get this program going. We also expanded in a greenhouse, so that means we can extend the harvesting season, and that's what we do. So the phase 1 is make small steps, phase 2 is expand. And something else in Heyday you got is when you sow and when you harvest, you do it with a swipe automatically. And that's what we want. That's what we want to do too. We want to have an automatic, we call it an automagical garden. So you can go see your food from the house, and this robot we create will take care of your food. So this is the robot we had to develop because there are no machineries for sale in and developed. So we had to make it by ourselves, which we didn't plan on at first, but they weren't for sale, so we had to. And it has 10 arms, and you can put different kind of arms around it, underneath it, to do different work. So here you see him weeding. We also have an AI system attached to it, so the robot will be able to detect different kind of plants, so he will know what to do with them. So there, if I want every carrot on my plots taken care of, given water, I can order the robot to give them all water if I want. He will recognize them. We have another step, like I told you, we are having heyday and we are doing real life heyday. But now we go back to, here you see it, our digital plot. This is our field. And we use this to make a digital twin. So we can now forecast for next year. If I make another plan for the next season, I can forecast digitally what will happen if it's too dry or if we make different combinations. So this is also a development we are doing. And every information is, of course, shared with the community if we have interesting news. Well, we have achieved a lot, you've seen, just in a few years. I stand here now, and 5 years ago, I never believed that we would have a robot in this form created. And I just wanted you to explain to you what happened. We got here just by being really communicative. We just shared, I told you about the dream we made together. And this dream we told everyone we could tell. We went to every event, every lifestyle event, every debate evening about sustainability, or every business fair and festivals. So we told our story. And even when we only had a plan, we also always took something tangible with us. So sometimes we just had crates with plants and some soil to, this is our land, and then put a small, with steel and some robot-like things on top and a screen on the side, just to be sure that people could imagine what we mean, because it's a really difficult story to tell if you have nothing. And it's more plausible if you have something tangible with you. So sharing the story is very important, and knowing that, asking everyone what you need, because we needed a lot of agricultural knowledge. So we were searching for that. And we wanted to have partners, because this is a problem which is concerning all of us, the farmers, the consumers, and the whole system. And we should all work together. So this was what we preached, that let's all work together on this problem so we can make a change. So this is what we did. And I wanted to give you in mind that this is the S-curve of an innovation project. We do a lot of innovation projects, and you have the S-curve, and you see here in the beginning that you start off with the innovators and the early adopters. Like, we are an innovator, but when you want to have a market, you have to search for the other ones, because the easy majority will not be the first to partner up with you or to be your customers. So you know who to, which group you have to speak to first. So have that in mind, because it's an important thing to know. So this is a tip I wanted to give you. And this is what we are dreaming on. The pixel farming, it gives us all a way to develop ourselves and making this place better, I guess. We are convinced that this will take more steps in the future, and not only by us, but also by you guys, students who are really creative. We have a lot of students here walking around and bringing in their ideas. And I think working together is the key for change. And I am now ready for every question you have, if you have any.
Thank you for sharing that story, Simone. I heard it already before, but I always find it fascinating. So I could listen to it over and over again. I find it so fascinating that you come from very different field and very different place, and you have made this dream a success. That's
Yeah.
extremely inspiring. Thank you very much. I will. We have a couple of questions from the audience, but actually, I will start with a very small clarification, maybe question from my side. Could you explain who are your customers at the moment?
My customers are just consumers. I now do it I offer my product in the Netherlands, so in the whole, not only local, but that is because I want other farms to Pixelfarm also. I want to get other farmers to do so. I have a few different groups around me. I also have restaurants who I deliver to, and it's weekly delivery, and customers is more like you can have a weekly delivery, but only locally. And when you live in the Netherlands, we do it just once or twice, because it's not really sustainable to drive our veggies a long way. So we have different customers.
And would you say that it's like mostly upper segment of people, like of incomes who are buying your product?
Just different. There are people who are really into environmental problems and taking care of that. They're really curious about how we cope with not using fertilizer, artificial manure, or pesticides, and they really embrace that. We also have customers who just want a robot. They want to play with it, because when you are a customer, you can also buy some experiences, like buy a drone flight. You can design your own drone flight, and we will deliver you the movie of the drone flight. So you can, and we have open of days when you can visit us and see the robot, and they're all technicians who are more interested in the technology. So we have a lot of different kind of customers, and we also have customers in the neighborhood who just want healthy food locally.
So when I listen to you, because there are some questions about your business model, if I hear it's not your product is not only vegetables, but you actually sell much more, like entire experience. So if you could explain a little bit more about your business model, and also there was a question if your project is founded. So it's like what the products are you sell. You already explained, but also maybe. Do you have any other sources of income, like subsidies? Yeah.
As an innovation center, you use have many different models, because we innovate. We have lots of projects running. We not only run the project of pixel farming, we also have projects on energy. How do we get our own energy? We want to be self-sufficient and sustainable. So how can we make this zero energy farm? So we also have projects in that. So we are more in the business of knowledge. We are specialized in data and creating the good combinations with data. So we make lots of platforms for that. So we actually run more, we earn our living with knowledge, not with the vegetables, because the robot is not there yet to get all the labor done.
Yeah,
it still has to be developed a bit more for that to be having a sustain of having what you call it, a revenue model.
And going back to this question of subsidies, do you use any subsidies?
Yeah, subsidies. It's just like the first 4.5 years, we had to invest it all ourselves. So just about 7 months ago, we had our first subsidy in here, and we even had problems with regulations, because being it's also really difficult. We have regulations at farms. You cannot just be an innovation center. So these are really nasty problems we had in the beginning. So the first 5 years were tough, and actually we had to give it all. That's what we did. And
Yes.
now I am happy that we get supported.
So now you get supported, and what kind of funding you get?
We have the POP 3. It's just like funding from government.
For the knowledge institutions or for the farmers?
We have. Sorry, what's your question? For the?
So it's like the subsidy is for your as a knowledge institution, or for your work as a farmer?
For pixel farming. So this subsidy is all for the development of pixel farming. So we now have a few projects running on getting the knowledge of which combinations are the best combinations to grow crops with, like can we, and how to install it into the current farming systems. So now we have this year 5 farmers who bought a robot. They had subsidies to buy one. So they arranged a subsidy to buy a robot with us, and we do an onboarding program with them. So we can teach them how to work with a robot, and they can teach us how this robot will work in other fields, because we have now 3 robots running here. But our soil is much different than the soil from the north of the Netherlands or the south, so we learn from each other again.
Yeah. Okay, great. So we talked a little bit about your business model and different sources of incomes. There are also some questions from people who would like to know a little bit more about the artificial intelligence that you use. So we have a question. I think there was a question from Adrienne. She was asking, do you work with AI, artificial intelligence, for good? I'm not sure if you're familiar with that.
I'm not. I'm
no.
sorry.
Okay, maybe Adriana, you can specify what exactly you mean. But there was also a question from Ken. He asked, does the AI algorithm help in optimizing seed spacing, ground coverage, and optimize for canopy space for each plant in multi-cropping mixed plant spacious cultivation for vegetables, or even other field crops? I will broadcast that question. You can read it. You can read it for yourself. It's a quite long question.
The AI is now really working on to recognize plants, so they know what plant we are seeing, and if he sees the plants and knows which one is which, he can act on that. We can give him. We are not working yet on an AI which will give well, it is also an AI, if you say it like that. We just put data together, and this combination works, and this combination doesn't. And the system gives us alarm when we plan the field. It gives us alarm if we put 2 different species together. It will say, hey, last year you grew this on that pixel. So if you put this on now, together with that, that's not a good idea. So it signals us at the moment. We still have to work on that it can automatically react on things like that. I don't know if this answers the question. But the
hopefully
AI...
it does. I hope it does.
too.
So we need to wrap up a little bit, but there is a question from Adriana. Do you see agro-tourism as potential market? And she says, I developed a food garden in village in Malawi because Adriana is active in South Africa to supply the neighborhood lodges on the lake. The garden itself became a major attraction.
Mhm.
So do you see a potential, do you see as agro-tourism as potential market for your?
What we do is we sell more experience than we sell vegetables. Well, we sell vegetables, we earn more from the experience. You know what I mean? Like the food value in the West is low, but the experience value is high. If I buy a chocolate bar in the supermarket, it will cost €1. But if I buy a chocolate bar with a wrapping around it, like, hey, Adriana, congrats, it will, I have to pay €5.
Yeah.
So you have the same food value, but the experience value is 5 times more.
Yeah.
So yes, I think that will help you with making a change in an yeah, that's what the challenge is, to make an impact in a society. So if you want to move a society, make them smile. If they want to change, if you make them smile with something, with an experience, probably it gets you more value than if you only give them food.
Great. Thanks a lot for sharing this, Simone. There are some questions remaining in the chat. So once we get to Martin, maybe you could look at the chat and try to answer some of the questions in the chat. That would be great. I would like to end this part by asking everybody watching, actually, if you would like to get your vegetables from Pixelfarm of Simone. So I start a poll now, and you can tell us, yes, where can I subscribe? That's one of the answers. I will think about it. Thanks, but I'm good with where I get my veggies from. So tell us how enthusiastic you are about getting your veggies grown by robots at this unique opportunity. So I think there are a couple of people who already want to subscribe, Simone. and many people will think about it. So I think I will end the poll now. So we have 42 people, 42% want to subscribe right now, and 50% will think about it. So I think you made everybody really enthusiastic. Thank you very much. If you can stay with us for the questions in the chat, that would be great. And I would now like to introduce our next speaker. So he doesn't grow food himself as Simone does, but he knows the local farmers very well. He studied sustainability science at the University of Utrecht, traveled around the world, and is really convinced that agriculture has potential to make a societal and environmental impact. He works for Local2local initiative, where he developed a platform that connects young people to the work in food transition. Welcome to Maarten Klop. Maarten, how are you?
Nice, I'm doing good. Thank you very much for having me, Marta, Monica.
Okay.
And Simone also, I'm blown away. Very impressive. This definitely offers a lot of perspective for diversifying production.
Great.
And yeah, I'm very excited to tell you today a little bit about my experience in working in the field and my experience with building communities and being active within regional food systems. And it's a big task, it's a complicated task, but I believe there's a lot of fun to be had while working on it. And before cracking into this, actually, I'd like to get a feel for who's all in the room. So I started with a simple poll. Do you
Great.
work directly with food production? And just yes or no, but maybe if you feel in the mood to share your name, place, and what you do in the chat, put a shout out. That's also very welcome.
Well, I give the floor to you, Maarten, and I will see you
Sorry.
back for the questions. Thank you.
Sorry, I think I had a lag there. Thank you very much. Oh, wow, that's impressive. Nice. So there's quite a lot of people who are really engaged directly with food production. That's cool. It's not often the case in the audiences where I stand, and there's a whole bunch who are maybe indirectly or not at all related to food. And I say welcome to everyone, because we will need everybody from all expertises in order to solve this big challenge. And then go to next. Now, let me just quickly share how I got involved in this. And I say went from fun, where I lived in a couple different countries, in Kenya, in the States, traveled, lived in the Netherlands and in Colombia. And what I saw there was really just, I met really wonderful people and saw beautiful nature. So mainly I knew I wanted to do something with people and with nature. And after that, I started studying. And I went to Utrecht University to study sustainability science. And that's where I learned in detail how screwed we are, to say it politely. Studied the models, and it was demotivating for a little while, until I ran into the potential of how we can fix this, how we can organize ourselves to work on solutions, and also what key element food could play in that. So we started dreaming with two other friends at the uni, and we wanted to build self-sufficient food forest communities together with schools, cultural hubs. And it was a big dream. And we started, well, how do we get cracking on that? Well, with a festival, get a lot of people excited, do it completely as sustainable as possible, and maybe even make some money to invest in it, starting the rest of our dream. So we founded Grounded Festival, and we got help from all corners. We had no clue what we're doing. So that was already a great kickstart to building this community. At the same time, I started Fruitfold, and I got the opportunity to work with a fruit farmer, and really inspiring. We looked at different fruit kinds underneath a solar glass cover. So we thought, well, can we keep the fruit dry, prevent fungus growing, and then make it more biological? Well, the research was very interesting, but more so, the connection with this farmer was beautiful. He showed me really like, wow, they manage so much land, and with that hold such an important key to solve our ecological issues, but also offer social opportunities for work and recreation, water storage, biodiversity. I'm sure all of you know all about it. And that's where I really saw, food is the thing that can bring people and nature together. So I continued to work in short food supply chains and regional food systems with Local2local. And now I did a couple projects myself, and after a year of doing so, I also started Local2local Talents. Like Martha said, this is indeed a platform to connect all diverse people to work, research, and opportunities in food transition. So very practically, we go do the apple and the pear harvest every fall, but also more complicated research topics, marketing, dietitians. It's a really integrated topic, and that's why you see a lot of different expertises, of course, come together. Now, this has been my little journey from having fun to worry to really feeling the hurry, and then actually back to fun while working on it. The mission that we share with Local2local and Grounded is bigger than life. We are on a mission to build regional regenerative food systems that co-create. Now, why I chose these images is for a couple of reasons. Well, one, these are forts. So we have the Stelling of Amsterdam, forts around Amsterdam, and New Hollandse Waterlinie here in Utrecht. I work on these forts here in Houten, currently on Fort het Hemeltje, and with Grounded, we're situated on Fort Lunet 1. But I also find the story and the narrative very romantic and speaks to the imagination. On that side, we have our farmers. On that side, we have the city and the people with their needs for healthy food and clean air, etc. And here in between, we use a green line, nature, to bring those together. And these linies, as they're called, were also used to defend our food protection and, to defend ourselves against the enemy. I'm afraid it's more relevant now than ever, but also metaphorically, we need to use nature to defend ourselves against the consequences of climate change. Do you still hear me? I heard a bloop bloop.
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, thanks. And so that's why I see these as very relevant, and we can also learn from nature, of course. And what I've seen in nature is more diversity leads to more stability. And that made me question, how can we organize ourselves like that? How can we organize ourselves as a resilient ecosystem? And we have now written a strategy both for Amsterdam and for Utrecht, and spreading it through Europe as well, of how we can build these resilient regenerative systems with all real parties and actors in these regions, using also the culture and the social geographic context like these linies. Now, what is local to local? Local to local started in Utrecht as a solo short food supply chain, and by now we have also facilitated collaboration with different regions and different farmer collectives. So we're active in North Holland with Proefkantoor, in the south of Holland with Groene Hart, Amsterdam Boer van Amstel with Flevoet in the Polder, and going towards national and maybe even European coverage, but organized regionally. Each region with their own character, their own farmers, their own context, and their own relations with consumers. So we do work together to share some costs, like logistics, marketing. Only then can we make it. But everybody has their own character, and we see it very important that we bring the products with the nice story to the consumer. We have a couple of business-to-business customers through which we have a lot of reach, and more importantly, perhaps even to bring the demands from the consumer back to the farmer, to have that feedback loop. And then when you make that connection, really connecting the person that makes the food with the person that eats it, then you can start to have really interesting conversations about what we find important and what we value. Like, indeed, not only is it cheap, but also, is it delicious? Is it healthy? Does it make a recreation area? Does it increase biodiversity and air quality? So you have a context, a relationship to create new business models for farmers as well. Then real quick, what is Grounded? Like I said, it started with the festival, and by now Grounded has grown out to be a community of very diverse people. We're about 170 now, and people from all walks of life, and sharing a passion for sustainability. So we have 24 nationalities, we have all kinds of education levels and topics and expertises and interests. And together we organize events and projects surrounding food, education, and art, where we believe that food is our relationship to our region and to our ecology. It's also cultural. About that, we want to give workshops. So we do that with kids, to ourselves, to other people, and really teach about the worth and quality of food. And we see art as a fundamental element in transition. You need to communicate, inspire, connect, and for that we host different concerts, events, expositions, you name it. And there's once all these people come together, there's also the room and the tools to set up new things. So there's also room to create new ideas and projects. Like that, we have a morning dance with a local breakfast, for example, just because people wanted to do it. Now, so that's Grounded and that's Local to Local. And in both these cases, we noticed you cannot change the world by yourself or in your own little local area. Like Simone also said, you need to collaborate with other innovators, parties in your region. And with Local to Local, we've developed a model that helps us facilitate this vertical collaboration between levels and between different regions. It simulates a game, actually. So you're a little stubborn local entrepreneur thinking, we can change the world, let's do it. And that's why I need help from others in my region. So you gather friends around you to help you solve challenges, and you have a shared toolbox that you have. So you have maybe some expertise or knowledge, maybe data or IT or farmers who have land, communities who have hands and feet. You gather your trusted group around you. But there are even challenges that are too big to solve simply on a regional scale. Sometimes there are shared problems that are also experienced in different regions. So you think, how can we collaborate between regions, see what's missing in both regions, and collaborate to create tools that can be shared back down to the local level. So in order to do this, we first do an inventory scan to see, basically like in a game, some people have a hammer, some people maybe have super armor on real life, some people have data, other people have tools or expertise or authority or range, and you put that toolbox all together and you come together in challenge rooms to solve certain issues. Can be the nitrogen issue, can be a health question. There's enough issues to solve. So from bottom up, we give input and eventually also advise policy, etc. And we create on that level and share the tools back down to help the local entrepreneurs do their thing the best to their ability. So now I want to stick in this regional level, because let's be honest, that's where it happens. That's where the seeds go into the ground. That's where the events are had. That is where culture is experienced. So how do you organize your regional ecosystem? And I use the word ecosystem because it really stimulates almost like mycelium. There are certain elements in the soil. Everyone is doing their thing. It's often a lot of amazing things already exist, like community gardens, knowledge programs, beautiful, inspiring examples, all doing their thing. But then you want to see, how do we connect with each other? How are communication lines with one another? Now, in the soil, that's organized like mycelium. That's the activation phase. So we have an onboarding process where we map all the stakeholders that want to participate, the coalition of the willing, we call them. And you see where there is overlap, where there's an overlapping demand question, where resources should go to. In the conversion phase, we see, well, these are the parts where we want to put energy to create a new project, to solve it, and we monitor this continuously. Well, that's the idea of a regional alliance, a group, the coalition of willing, working together to create a regional and regenerative food system. Now you see this takes steps. First inspire with what is there, activate, look and map, convert, start to act and co-create together. And we've seen in Amsterdam and Utrecht this really does work quite well. Now, this is the most complicated and loud slide, but this is also because we are looking to embrace this complexity. Once you map your whole regional alliance and all these stakeholders, well, that's the part of governance and coordination. How do you work together? How do you manage that? And how do you pick up projects in an effective way and that they continue and build up on one another, not one project, one subsidy, and done again. And then you have the research and innovation within this context, and in these parties, you of course want to innovate and try new tools and create things that can be shared again. So that's where the connection with knowledge institutions is very important and also very top of mind. And then the social cultural element, because if you want to change a system, well, people do need to care. They need to give at least some shits, and it needs to be fun and experienced and also able to relate to it. That's where events, communities, dinners, community gardens come into play to really have the social engine behind the change. And I believe these things together all create a beautiful way to actually use the market to create impact. Because if you have the care and you have the demand, you can also ask firms like, hey, we care about this, can you make something that plays into that? I'll come back to that in a moment. And what you see on the right is a blockchain solution that we have, where we would like to map everything that's going on in such a regional ecosystem. So there you can do social contracts, you can of course measure impact, and you can, through the supply chain, so with digital twins, you can ask other people in the supply chain, hey, do you want to measure that? Because that's worth for us to know. And so like that, you have also a really founded universal source of truth, Unisot it's called, that we can build on and that we can build different value models on. yeah, if you have questions in between or ideas, let me know. And this then going back, into the region, into the culture. Like I said, we've done local talents, working at the farm, shake the hands that feed you. We do all kind of student activation and activities, research projects, and work together with a lot of knowledge institutions in doing so. And yeah, Grounded is just it attracts people and also makes sure that the people who work on projects stay connected afterwards and have the opportunity and space to co-create what they think is necessary. I think this all together, like I said, creates a really good base for what we call the reverse marketplace. And what we have made is a platform where both a producer that has a positive idea, like say the Wilderland tea, they want to make an iced tea with local herbs that they plant on degraded soils. And with some of these local herbs, they can make tea, pay the farmer for it, and with that increase biodiversity, help the soil, make corridors for insects. And they say, well, sure, we want to make an iced tea, but it makes sense as of 30,000. So we only want to do this when the market actually appreciates it. And so that's when we collect the demand first, sell it first, and once we've sold it, they start making it. It also goes the other way around. If a health institution says, hey, we want a healthy tea, and we have 20,000 employees here, so we'll buy 20,000 bags, which producer wants to make that? Well, believe me, if this connection like that is there, producers with a big smile on their face will put effort into indeed take care of the soil, to farm more ecologically, to farm with a more social impact. So that's where this really concrete relationship between the producer and the consumer can make positive impact. And we have some really cool examples coming up, like kombucha with also that tea, and those lemonades, those bright lemonades, we want to turn into pride juice, together making this flag LGBTQ, and together with that community, launching it, making also QR codes so people get together, making it really inclusive. So it also depends on the social cultural context and the needs and wishes that are there. Now, I'm very excited about this, and I hope to make hundreds of these types of products in this way. Now, I'll just share my learnings with you and see how they can be reapplied, what you can take away from it. And I've definitely seen that diverse and motivated people really, first of all, people are motivated. People are ready, and I see that all around me. They want to do good. Sometimes they just need a starting point. And when you put diverse people together, they make new things with each other. I think it's almost inevitable from what I've seen. Two key elements to that are shared values. So with our community, we've set out what it means for us. These are things like inclusiveness. It's things like the power of we, do it together, be empowering, and be willing to learn. And we've defined these, we live by them, and transparent communication is very important. If you have transparent communication, everybody can do whatever they want. And I see on the right, my thing is a bit messed up, but this is the cycle that we go through where you say events, it inspires people, it attracts, and you have this in all over the world, of course, things that people enjoy doing together. From that attraction, you activate people, make it easy for them to contribute. In our case, grab a shovel, help in our garden, help to organize an event, help in our workshop, make some art, just contribute. And people are so thankful for the opportunity to contribute. And from that, people are gathered and they start co-creating new things, which in turn inspire others again. So that's how this community kind of upholds itself. Last shout out, I think it is time for action. Very much so. And unfortunately, we are in a situation, especially now with what's happening in Ukraine, where our food security is nothing to be taken for granted. Prices will go up. So we've come up with a strategy, and one is for the harvest of today. We offer students, they can write themselves in and to sell a pallet of these wonderful, colorful carrots and some other base vegetables for a good price. They don't need to buy the pallet themselves, just collect 60 families in a collected space and who want to pick it up, for example. So you build a decentralized food distribution network. That's for the harvest of today. Afterwards, we want to focus on the harvest of tomorrow. So also hand out seedlings to the same network and teach people how to grow their own food. Like I said, these linis were also protected, made to create food security. We at some point were very aware of that. The city of Amsterdam could last half a year with the food production between the forts and the city center. And I think this is something that we need to take back into our own hands and really create food communities for food security. And with that, I'd like to end and ask the last poll, who would be willing to contribute in some way to these sustainable food systems? And if so, in which way? And then I'd love to hear your questions and ideas. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Maarten. So the poll is running now. Let's see how people react.
I think that's already one legend. And maybe at the same time I start answering questions.
So I see a lot of people who want to buy impact products and also help with organizing events. And you have a couple of volunteers who also like to join.
Fantastic.
Oh, and I see also somebody for running decentralized food distribution, getting food to your neighbor. Great. So actually, those are the real examples of what you do with the platform Local2local Talents. So actually, people who go there, they can say, "Oh, I would like to help with one of those."
Yeah.
And how many volunteers of how many young people you have involved in there?
In the last year, I've guided about 160 students of different levels of education and backgrounds. And in total, through Local2local, there have been some 800 students. And now we want to professionalize this to the next step. And like I said, we make this whole inventory of the regional party stakeholders and collaborations, and also get from them the help questions and really make food students everywhere, basically, for research and action.
And is there also like is it completely voluntary, or is it also a way of, okay, so there's a business model behind. Could you explain maybe then?
Yeah, I mean, we offer just small job opportunities, like just helping to harvest with apples and the pears. It's just work, just nicely outside instead of stocking shelves in the supermarket. And also we have jobs for starters, for people that make marketing and communication, people that want to develop new products. Of course, it's a very big topic. So yeah, definitely there's the opportunity to also earn a bit of a living through this. And then there's a lot of people that do it out of study.
Yeah, because I was wondering, so it works like this, that you have this local producers and then you contact them or they contact you and then you come up with new ideas, or what exactly is the result of your collaboration?
Yeah, I mean, the base level now is just to sell their produce to a local market. That's how you earn their trust. That's really the thing with farmers. You got to move their stuff, otherwise they won't listen and change. But afterwards, you note that they are just ambitious people who care about the trade. So they want to make beautiful products. So they come to us with ideas, and we then go see, well, can we actually sell that? And we sell it first, and then they make it. And it also happens the other way around, where one of our big consumers or buyers says, hey, we're looking for a local anything. Can be an iced tea, can be a juice, can be we had an ice cream from fermented chestnuts, for example, that tasted like chocolate. Can we have a vegan burger? Do you have something meat replacements with lupina beans? And then when the demand is there, we go look to a farmer that wants to make it. And we've seen that if the demand is there, they're really happy to do so.
So there's a question related to that about the pricing of your products. All of them are innovative, and if I listen to you, it's also like maybe a small scale. So I can also imagine that the prices are a little bit high end, or
we have the regular business where we're just right now some 3,000 plus products. Those prices are normal. They're competitive. The cheese is maybe €1 or €2 more expensive than the over time, but it tastes also really that much better. The vegetables are really competitive because they're from right here. So it's actually logical that it's more affordable than if they come all the way from God knows where. So those regular products are really all right, competitive prices. And then with these reverse marketplace products, those are a little bit more expensive, but we also explain why. You pay also for increasing biodiversity, or you pay also for facilitating inclusive communication, or you pay for extra soil regeneration. So that's those are definitely a bit more expensive. And I think through measuring it, though, through measuring the impact, and we know what our values are, well, then you can start to have also an interesting conversation. Which part of that does the consumer pay, and which part should maybe the government pay? We also pay the waterschappen to store water. Well, why not pay our farmers also to store it in the soil? We pay pharmaceuticals to sell pills. Why not pay our farmers also to make healthy food? So yeah, you need the context, though, to be able to measure that, and after that, build those new value propositions.
Clear. Where people can buy your products?
So we have a business-to-business platform. That's shop.local2local.nl. Just make an account to do it. And these reverse marketplace products, that's on letsgetlocal.nl. And that's also for
it's all online, let's say.
Yeah,
okay, very clear. Yeah. And we have a question from Judy. So she says, like, he would like, I think it's a girl or a guy. I would like to get a tip on how to involve people, because she says normally people interest in delicious foods. Normally people are interested in delicious food, but they don't care so much about where it comes from, how it's grown. So how do you trigger this interest in people?
No, I mean, delicious is also a very valid argument and a very important element. There I think it's part education. You should see if it's good soil, makes a good plant, and if you eat from the season and it's fresh, it's also delicious. So all the chefs I talk to, for example, star chefs, they all agree, like, local is good. They have no idea about sustainability, but they appreciate that it's a nice tasting, high quality product. And as to how to engage people, that's where really the inspiring activities, and this will change and be different for each region, whatever the social context is. But indeed inspire people through events, through workshops, education programs, through neighborhood dinners, to soup actions. We did a veggie rescue action once where we went to the streets with carrots and beets and said, it's Corona, they don't sell it to the export anymore. We need you now to save these carrots. And hundreds of people showed up. And for the events also, hundreds of people, like 250 volunteers for the festival. So people are looking for ways to contribute, and we try to make that easy and attractive and also fun. I think making it a positive activity also really helps.
Yeah, I think those are very nice tips also for the participants of the challenge. I would like to wrap up the discussion with a question from Rio. So she's asking, since you require active involvement, how scalable do you think local-to-local is?
That's the beauty. It doesn't need to be local to local everywhere, but I believe the concept of building a grid of regions throughout Europe, throughout the world, that all do their things regionally, where it really happens, where the plants go into the soil, where the dinners are ate, but that are able to co-create with another. So if you structure them in the same way, you can bring them in co-creation with each other and make tools that shared in the regions themselves again. So I believe building this grid of smart regions that collaborate with each other, mega scalable.
Okay, I think it's a very good tip for the participants of the Urban Greenhouse Challenge as well. Simone, if you can switch on your camera, then we can wrap up the webinar. It was great to have you here. Thank you for sharing those inspiring stories. I hope you will see also some of the seeds that you sowed today back in the concepts of the participants of the Urban Greenhouse Challenge. Have a good day. Do you have any last words, any last tip that you would like to share with the participants of the challenge or people who are watching today?
No, just amazing that you all are motivated to work on these topics and good luck, go for it, and you're always welcome to come party here and to work with us on the food topics if you're in the Netherlands. And good luck with the challenge.
Yes, very good luck with this difficult question you've got. This challenge is really difficult to act on. Make sure that don't only think about the money. We always get the question, what's your revenue? What's your...
Yeah.
Think about the long-term we are working on that. This dream we have here, it's more important than money.
Yeah.
But the value of things, the value of a smile, I will tell you, this will earn your living. Make sure.
Word. Nice. We should also connect more, Simone.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice that there are already connections starting here. Hopefully, you will also connect to some of the people who are watching today. For the moment, I would like to close the webinar and thank you very much for being here and sharing your stories. Have a good day, and hopefully we see each other again another time.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.